I'm Lisanne Miller with W, Cushing and Company, and it's In the Library with Lisanne, our first one of 2024. So, let's go take a look, and we're going to look at a book that is Pictorial Hooked Rugs. And this Pictorial Hooked Rug book is an older book by Jane Hollowell Green, and it's a great book. If you are looking to expand your pictorials, your landscapes, your architecture rugs, or start one and you've never done one before, this is definitely a great book. If it's in on your library shelf, you really need to take it out and take another look at it. And let's go in and see why. What's really great about this book, first before we start, this right here is the old mill on the Eastern Shore. And it's a great rug, but the pattern is free in this book. We have, I think, a few for sale, but make sure when you buy the book that the pattern is in there as well. So you actually even get a free pattern. So here we go. First, I love this book because here's the Nubble Lighthouse. Nubble Lighthouse is a lighthouse that is by our studio and our home in York, Maine. And we do have the pattern. And we have the Portland head. We have a lot of pictorial patterns. But what she starts out with, there are different ways to hook a pictorial. You can hook realistically. You can hook it in impressionistic, primitive, but I don't call it primitive. I call it folk art. I like to use the folk art style. Stylistic, abstract, and the other that's not here is watercolor style. So the first thing you've got to do is pick your style for your pictorial. And this is more of a folk art style. This is the Portland head, which is another lighthouse about 45 minutes from us. This is also one of our patterns. This is a great pictorial if you're going to start with one because you've got sky, building, rocks, grass, fence. And for some people, fences are a problem. For some people, they don't hook rocks. So she goes through each of the different styles, noting what is important, not important about the styles. And I think that's great. Working from a photograph, and I'm going to tell you right now, working from a photograph is great. You start by looking at the photograph, then you put that photograph away. The best pictorials I have ever hooked is, yes, looking at the photograph, but when I went to hook it, the photograph goes away. Hook from your memory and hook from your heart, and you'll be very pleased with what you get. Now, pictorial can be in the round. It can be water, just with different important aspects for you. So you have to decide. And these are different placements of, if you're going to design it, the visual pathways. Here is an interesting one right here. I love it because the border's broken. I love the path going down. This is an original work by Lynn Fowler, I believe. And so, but the important thing is, here's your trees. Here's your pathway. Notice how it's broad in the front and you're giving a visual perspective in the back. And she goes in on how to do that. Color and materials, it's not just for wool, it's for yarns. I love to use yarns. In pictorials, I love to use our metallics. I think our metallics and our Turkish silk really add dimension. I'm using metallics for outlining storybooks, and I'm using the Turkish silk to set snow and water. She goes into values, dip dyes, and once again, throughout this book, you are going to get all sorts of little dye recipes. Black, white, she goes through the whole thing. Now, tree trunks. We all know tree trunks are not straight lines. And this shows you the hooking lines. And look at, and always, I learned this from the late, great Dick LaBarge. Put a little purple in your tree trunk. It'll always look great. And this is all about hooking tree trunks. Okay, buildings. If you notice, this is a brick building. Not every brick is there. Let the viewer finish the piece. The most successful pictorials that I've ever seen or hooked are the ones where the viewer comes in and the viewer's eye finishes the piece. Here is a tile roof and how to hook it. Notice the arcs, the many different colors. Here's a gray house formula in here. All different spot dyes, arches, different wools used for arches, bricks, different things you can use for bricks. Okay, here is the Noble Lighthouse. Ours is a tad different than this one. We have all the buildings on it, but lighthouse, not straight up and down. It is rounded. You arc it. Sky, waved, not straight. This has flowers added to it, rocks. When you get ready to hook your rocks, you have to decide if you want them gray and brown, brown, dark brown. They change with the light. So you have to look at that, or look at your object that you're going to hook in different light and decide what rocks you would like. White caps on the waves. The nubble is fun to hook. Here's another version of the nubble, although it's never been striped, but artist interpretation. See the waves in the skies. Look at the layer of color. The grasses are a little different season. Rocks are a different color. So you can choose and pick and choose. When you get up here into the lighthouse, this is great to use the metallics. It's great to use yarns. When I hooked mine, I did not hook in between here. I let it be negative space to look as if it was looking through. So there are many, many different techniques that you can use. Here's looking through a window. If you notice, it's not straight up and down, it's at an angle with a reflection. Again, different dye formulas for different things. And here is steps. You have to have a medium, dark, and light in a step. And she goes through how to create the dimension of a step on a flat surface. Excellent, excellent instructions. So, flowers and vegetables in the gardens. Here's different shapes that you can use to proddy. And for those of you that love to proddy, this is a great section. We won't mention any names, Jane. So here is a flower garden added in, and you can proddy your pieces or hook your pieces higher or do the couching. This is an interesting one with your fence post. Notice the darks and the lights. And then here is the little rosebuds, okay, the climbing rosebuds done with French knots. And the grass is proddied beneath. Here are some different flowers put on and proddied or pulled high. And when you're going to do this, things like this, the spot dyes are the best. These modeled spot dyes that you say, what am I going to do with them? They look really, really good based on the season. A lot of our spot dyes work really, really well for that. Here is a vine with leaves. Here is a row of flowers or cabbages. And then here's the cottage with it all there. So, then she has mountains and hills. Here's some mountains and hills. And mountains don't have to be brown. They can be purple. They can be dark blue. It depends. Reflection in the water. Some dye formulas again in here. Roads, streets, and sidewalks. Here's a sidewalk. Here's a road. Different angles. Make sure if there's buildings and a sidewalk that the shadows are included. Don't forget your shadows. Also, I'm going to point out this with the trees. How do you hook a successful tree? It's the sky behind the tree that gives you definition. So, there you go, hooking a rock wall. 3, 5, 7, or 9 colors. I would start, if you've never hooked a wall, with 3 or 5 colors. Skies, we never hook our skies in straight lines. They always have dimension. And this is all about skies and I think some some dye formulas for skies. And if you notice here, these are wispy, they'll go in with the clouds. And if you want to see a sky that has a lot of motion, look at the storybook rugs. Our storybook rug skies, the clouds are outlined, they have a lot of motion, they add to the sky. So don't just stick clouds in because you think they should be there. Use and hook the clouds as part of the sky. And this is your Old Mill on the Eastern Shore pattern that should be in there, so be sure it's in there. This is a great spot dye. Here is a dramatic sky. Some of the different wools, some of the different formulas. The supporting cast, the people. People don't have to have faces, they can. Of course, shadows, sidewalks, sky, everything is important. Animals can be a supporting cast as well. So you can continue. This is trees, shrubs, and grass. Everybody gets stuck on the grass. If you've picked your season, then your grass should not be hard to hook. Here is a very, very good tutorial on the trees, the sky, and the different layers of the grass. So here's another way to hook the trees. This is a great, great pictorial for the trees. A wonderful pictorial. And take a good look at that. Trunks, behind the trees, underneath the trees, grasses, pathways, fence, water, water everywhere. Well, if you were up here this weekend, that would certainly apply. Layers of water, how to hook water so it has motion. Dye formulas for water. Here is ice, snow, sky, bare trees. Ice, beautiful winter sky, angry sea. And you can add texture into this. Don't be afraid to add texture. Sand, a lot of people get caught up with the sand. It's about boats, sand formulas. I like to add texture into my water, and water is not always blue. It can have a green tint as well. And then this last section is the Old Mill on the Eastern Shore. And if you are going to hook it, some hints about it, how to do that, what to put where. Then hanging a pictorial rug, a lot of you have asked about that, with the tacks, the rug tacks, how to put that on and hang it properly. Good section, even if it's a big rug or rugs you want to hang on the wall, great on how to hang your rug. And then at the end, there's just a gallery of pictorial rugs. And they're great to look through, to draw inspiration from, and to help you with your design, but not to, just for colors and everything else, not to use these as patterns. How the people fit in, what style you want. There's your animals, your train station. So all different pieces to it. And however you would like it, from realism to impressionistic to watercolor to folk art. It's all in here. It's a great book. Wonderful, wonderful resource. I hope that you've enjoyed this, and I hope that if you are going to hook a pictorial, that you'll go through this, look through it, and gain some better knowledge. Thank you for now. We'll see you in February with another wonderful book for In the Library with Lisanne. Bye for now.